This is In the Black, and what I'm showing right now is teaser trailer footage, but I think this game has huge amounts of potential, and it's something that quite a few of the people in my audience I think might enjoy. So, this video is kind of sponsored, where the company who made In the Black, Impeller Studios, did reach out to me and provide me with some Steam keys to play this game with a couple of my friends. And so here's my completely honest, in-depth review. I've not been told to say anything. I've just been given the game and told to share my thoughts and see what you guys think about it too. Now, a lot of my audience does come from War Thunder, and I do have to warn you, I came into this expecting it to be somewhat like War Thunder, and it is not. The hardcore base combat tagline is no joke. I was struggling very much to get the hang of it, and I think there's definitely a steep learning curve. But as I slowly started to understand a bit better how to actually control my spaceships, I found it really working well. One of the bits that me and my friends were struggling with the most to get the hang of, but I think has the most potential, is the unique movement in the game. I've never experienced anything quite like it. I don't really know how to describe it. It's very sort of like fluid. If you go in one direction, you're going to keep going in that direction unless you really try to stop. I found frequently I was crashing into objects because I just didn't realise how fast I was going, and by the time I was there I couldn't avoid it because I couldn't turn around in time. However, this again is something that I think once you get the hang of it, it has huge potential to bring you from a rookie to a pro in no time. Also, everything that I've played and that my friends have played so far has been early access. None of this gameplay is final, and there's going to be a lot of bugs. We're struggling with like online connectivity, for example, and things like that. There's going to be a lot of bugs in that area because it's just not fully made yet. And everything at this point, I believe, is probably subject to change of some kind. And you can expect the game on full release to look vastly different, potentially, to how it is here. Now we're going to move on to the things that I enjoy about the game. So the first thing that I enjoy is that there is so much depth to it, and I can definitely see this being a game that if you've got the spare time to sink into it, you could lose hours just finding more and more ways to control your aircraft or spacecraft, and more different ways to play the game and engage, because there's just so much. It's such a expansive game. There's so much attention to detail that I couldn't possibly even fathom it all in one go. I'm also a huge fan of the first person view specifically. The third person view is nice as well, seeing the outside of your ship, but the first person view is done so well. The only things I've seen similar to it are things like DCS. I mean, War Thunder's got nice models, but like they're not as nice as this. This is like fully interactive, everything's there. The heads-up display is nice, it gives you all the information you need, and I think it's really well made. I think DCS is slightly better because it's more interactive, but I think that in its current state, it is a very, very well done cockpit experience. Furthermore, I did find myself quite enjoying the small amount of online play that I got, and while I wasn't doing loads of online play due to connectivity issues that I previously mentioned, I had a blast whenever I was in it. It felt like a fun sandbox PvP experience with objectives to do if you want to play them, but they didn't really seem that necessary, and I felt like I was able to just fly around and do my own thing and hunt enemies as I pleased. Furthermore, another thing that I really liked, especially on my most recent play session, I realised it more than before. I don't know if this is because I was just paying more attention or if it is a relatively new addition, but when you're playing these single player campaign sections, then the voice lines, I almost forgot they were called. The voice lines are so nice. Like they feel crisp. It makes you feel like you're actually in a spaceship and you're being talked to. You're getting a briefing on the mission. You're getting a bit of extra lore that's not really necessary, but it's kind of nice to know. Not enough that you could make a game theory on it, but enough to make it seem like there's a purpose for you being there, which I always think is a detail which is nice to have in games.
Look at that cracked moon. What a sight. Helene was blown apart, and the sheep think it was an industrial accident. Nobody believes that. Nobody really knows what happened. Rumor is it was an illegal antimatter weapon program and somebody fucked up. It's why we can't have nice things.
Another thing you might have picked up on in that last clip that I just showed, demonstrating those voice lines in the campaign, I also really enjoy the sound score. It gives me huge Subnautica vibes, and I've always said that Subnautica is one of, if not the best game when it comes to sound design. Just the environmental sounds, the music, it all flows so well, and I'm really glad that this game's gone in a similar direction. Now onto the issues, however. So first of all, I had the connectivity issues, but I didn't really mind that. I knew that it's early access, they probably don't have sufficient servers up at the moment, and that's probably going to be improved. However, one of the problems I did notice, and I believe one or two of my friends noticed this as well, is we can't seem to be able to buy another spaceship. And again, this will obviously be fixed by the time the full release comes out, but I had 100,000 credits. It was asking for 100,000 credits. It was saying I need to be level 2. I was level 2, but it just wouldn't let me buy the next spaceship. And I don't know if there's something else that I'm missing or if this is a bug, but I just couldn't wrap my head around it. Furthermore, and I think this one's kind of just a skill issue on me, but I found myself struggling with the movement. I know I said earlier that I like the movement, but it's just difficult to understand at first. And I think it's because I'm used to playing games where you hold W and you go forwards and you just rush straight in. And that's just not how this game works. You need to keep a steady eye on your speed. You can't go all the way to full speed and just blast through the whole thing. You will crash, your spaceship will explode, you will lose the mission and have to go again. And I think that's just a skill issue on my part, but it definitely had a bit of a learning curve. As you can see from this clip, sometimes it gave me rather nauseating experiences where I hit a wall and instead of exploding, I just turned into a Beyblade. Another issue me and one of my friends had while playing was that what I'm going to call the "you are targeted" sound effect, which is essentially just a radar warning receiver sort of thing where it tells you if you're being targeted by another spaceship, but it kept playing like non-stop. And I get it, why, I can fully understand why why that happens, but it was driving me kind of insane. And thankfully, on the last couple of contract missions that I played, I wasn't experiencing this, but I found it most annoying when I was in multiplayer on my first time playing. It was just constant, you are targeted, and it just drove me up the wall a little bit. My final issue that I had was the controls, and this is another thing that I definitely expect will be changed by the time the full release comes out, but I could just not wrap my head around the control menu. I was trying to change my roll and rudder controls to being the other way around, because by default Q and D are roll and A and D is rudder, and I wanted it to be the other way around, A and D to be roll and Q and E to be rudder. And I was having a tough time figuring out what buttons I was supposed to change where. Eventually I got there, but it just took a while to get the hang of it. And as I said, I fully expect that to be more simplified by the time the full release comes out. And I do expect that the more optimal way to play would probably be with joystick or something, rather than keyboard and mouse. But that was just my experience with it. Now, finally, where do I see this game going? I can definitely see this game becoming popular. I can see why it would be popular. I can see why people would enjoy playing it. I can completely see this becoming a somewhat mainstream game. However, the thing is that the developers definitely have to make sure that they go down the right path, and I know they're aiming for a more advanced simulator, and I think that is a great way to aim down, but I think they need to not push it too far and make it too complicated. Because for someone like me and my friends, we were having a tough time understanding the game. And if you can't get the ropes early on, I feel like that would deter quite a lot of new players. So I feel like maybe either a slightly like more in-depth tutorial, or just like maybe lowering the skill floor a little bit so like the lower level players can understand the game a bit better, would maybe be a useful area for the developers to look. But aside from that, my experience playing In the Black has been great so far, and I will definitely be playing more of it in the future. And maybe I'll be making more content on it too, especially if it ends up performing really well. Then I'd love to stick around the community and see where this game goes. So yeah, that's all I have today to talk about. The series has been quite a while in the making because I've had some other things that I've had to come up beforehand. However, here it was, my honest review of the In the Black early access that I played. Excited to see the future of this game. Make sure you subscribe, comment your thoughts below, and I'll see you next Monday for a full video, or every day that's not a Monday for my short content. And yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Hope you have a nice day, and goodbye.